Hey, everybody. This is Ra and Dana, and you all are tuning in live for our August tip of the month. And we are coming to you from sunny California and coming out of a series of amazing events over the last 2 weeks. So we've been in the Bay. Boop, boop. Shout out to Impact Hub San Francisco and Impact Hub Oakland. Shout out to the Comadres in the Redwoods of Ben Lomond. And shout out to our Los Angeles General Assembly community. Last night we were mixing it up live and direct. And so we are in I just want to say, you all, we are in the theme of the month. Like, we are knee deep in the theme of the month, and I can't wait to share it with you. Dana is going to be waving and air traffic controlling today, but you may not hear her speak much, but she will have your questions given to me via chat, so I don't want you to worry about it. We're still going to be able to interact and engage. So I want to dive in, right? So last month was all about thriving and prospering, and what was so beautiful was we had the opportunity to engage hundreds of you in this theme and really talking about the fact that thriving and prospering is a choice, right? We talked about, when we were back in May, we were talking about appreciation. I don't know if y'all remember that. Those of you who are rolling with us, we were talking about appreciation and this idea that you could come from a context of appreciation. And we talked last month about thriving and prospering with the amazing Lisa Nichols, right? And we talked about the fact that thriving and prospering is a choice, and it's a commitment. It's a place that we live from, right? This commitment to thrive and prosper. And that it isn't something that sort of just kind of haphazardly happens to us, but that it is something that we consciously create for ourselves with every step that we take and every move that we make. And so this month, we are in the theme of advance. Advance. And this concept, this idea, this opportunity is drawn from the work of Wallace Wattles, who is one of the founding fathers of the New Thought movement. And I stumbled upon Wallace Wattles' work through a incredible training event called Masters of the Century that I attended in Aspen, Colorado, way back in 2009. And, all of the big willies in the world of human potential were talking about him. So Bob Proctor, Les Brown, Jack Canfield. And I'm like, who is this Wattles dude, right? And I come to find out that, like within the world of human potential, there are a number of sort of classic books, right? As a Man Thinketh is one, right? Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is two. And The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles is like classic book number 3. And so I get this book, and this thing is like 52 pages, and I just like absorb it like a sponge. And it was at the time that I was dreaming about starting Move the Crowd. And I read the book several times and listened to the audio like relentlessly. But there was a chapter in the book that really drew my attention, and it was chapter 15, and it was called The Advancing Man. The Advancing Man. And in the book, what Wattles talks about is this whole idea of another way of leading, right? Traditionally, when we think about leadership, we know sort of two kinds of models that have been most popular in our ideology, right, in our culture, right? So one is the sort of the self-serving, gonna make it no matter what, steamroll whoever's in my way, right, type leadership. And it's all about personal ambition, and it's all about personal achievement, right? And then at the other end of the spectrum, we have the martyr, right, which is all about the self-sacrificing form of leadership, which is that everything and everyone comes before you, and that somehow the service gets distorted to mean that you are not included in the bounty of what you provide for others. And so this idea of advancing is really like not drawing from either of those, but it's really saying that rather than an either-or model, right, either all you and none of everybody, or all of everybody and none of you, what advancing really says is you and everybody. So it's a both and model. And the idea is rooted in that your success is inextricably linked to the success that you create for others. And the success that you create for others is inextricably linked to your success. There is a symbiotic relationship between the way that you advance and contribute, and the way that you contribute to others and advance as a result, right? Does that make sense, y'all? And so your theme for the month is advance. And advance is a verb. So this is all about who you be, every interaction that you engage. So Waddles in the chapter on advancing talks about this idea of life to others, creating more life around you. And really what he's saying is that in order to advance, you're willing to be all of who you are, like you're willing to bring more life to yourself, you're willing to engage in things that cause you and invite you to thrive and prosper in the fullness of who you are, and that you are willing to give more life to others, to everything and to everyone around you. And so as I was reading this, I knew that this is what I wanted to embed into the culture and the DNA of Move the Crowd. And so it is in the culture and the DNA of Move the Crowd, and it is actually the metaphor for moving the crowd, right? Our metaphor for move crowd, motivation, and crowd movement is all about advancing everything and everyone around us. This theme resonated with me so much because it's how my parents raised me, right? My parents taught me that if I ever had anything, given any advantage, any opportunity, that I had an obligation to make a way for somebody else. It also resonated with me because at the time that I was building Move the Crowd, I was looking around me and I was recognizing the fact that we were moving out of this sort of iconic worshiping age of the celebrity, and we were moving into the age of the citizen, and that the thing that people most wanted access to were opportunities to make their own brand of contribution. And so this idea of advancing is about and others in being able to make their own brand of contribution. So what being advancing looks like is really committing to being creative as opposed to being competitive, being collaborative as opposed to being obliterative, right? And so when you think about what it is that you're building and you think about the opportunities for collaboration and contribution, which you know is our theme this year, how do you bring a context of advancement to that commitment such that everything around you and moving through you thrives and prospers in the process? So I want to pause here because people may have some questions. I want to invite in questions, and particularly I want to know how this is resonating with you as a recipe for success. So I see Dana looking to see if there are any questions coming in. And I'm getting a little comfier as I'm preparing for your questions. So Dana, just give me a sign. No questions yet. Okay, so we're gonna keep talking about this theme. So Waddle's work was written in 1910, right? So there's something really incredible to think about the fact that in 1910, this man was really understanding what lived at the core principles of success. And, you know, the New Thought movement was all about mindset. So it wasn't just about the knowledge and the skills that you were able to obtain, but he really talked a lot about what is the way in which you prepare the soil of your mind in order to be successful. So in this conversation of advancing, I know sometimes we get a little concerned. I hear this all the time where people are like, well, I'm doing the same thing as so-and-so and such and such. And so, you know, why would people buy my thing, right? Or I'm doing the same thing as such and such and so-and-so. And so there's a little competition there. And so I'm not going to work with that person, right? And I really want y'all to hear me in this because, you know, a lot of what kind of can get us stopped in the contribution that we're here to make is this sort of belief that somehow somebody can take something from us, right? And we don't talk enough about this in a really honest way, but we all know it's there, right, if we tell the truth. Yes? Yes? So the idea of advancing says that the opportunity is to engage in a way where you create more, where there isn't this fighting for crumbs, there isn't this competing for grants, there isn't this competing for clients, there isn't this competing for light and for love and for shine, right? But that the truth is that if you played in a way that made the pie bigger, by just design, that none of that would be an issue. And so this idea of coming from a context of advancement is, how do I play in a way that makes the pie bigger for myself and for everyone around me, right? And so as you're thinking about, how do I work with this theme this month? How do I bring it into my reality this month? The first question I'm going to ask you is what does it look like for you to be committed to your own advancement? And I'm asking this question particularly of my recovering martyrs, right? My folks who are, all about the service, all about the activism, all about to put everyone and everything before, right, you and your own well-being and your own prosperity and your own peace of mind. Hello, hello, right? What does it look like for you to be about your own advancement? And in the context of your own advancement, is your evolution, is your growth, is your well-being, is your happiness, is your peace of mind, is your prosperity, right? So what does that look like? I want you to ask yourself that question specifically. And then the second part of that question is, what does it look like for me to be about the advancement of others in a way that contributes to my own prosperity, right? The both and, not the either or. So I want you to just take a minute and write about that. And hopefully, Dana, will get some questions coming through here, because I really want to hear how this is landing for folks. But I want you to engage those two questions. So what does it look like for me to be about my own advancement, my own ability to really thrive and prosper and grow and evolve as a commitment to my own success? And then what does it look like for me to be about the advancement of others? And that's everybody from you all, the people who assist you as part of your team, to the people that you collaborate and generate and create with. Right? What does it look like? What do you see when you think about that? So I'm going to check in. I see Dana looking at the controls here. Just to see if folks have questions. Still no questions yet. You all. Okay. So here's the last thing I'm going to say. Your success, particularly in this time, depends upon your ability to expand. Expand opportunity, expand engagement, expand the evolution and growth of yourself and others. And these themes of appreciation and thrive and prosper and advance are so linked. At the core of it all is this invitation to operate from a place of abundance. Abundance and love for yourself, and love and abundance for those you serve, and love and abundance for those you have the opportunity to collaborate and engage with. And so in the context of our practice and all that we're healing within the center of our work, right, and our commitment to stay true, get paid, and do good, right? This concept of advancement is crucial. It's crucial. So some of the ways in which it concretely plays out for you, right, is when you're in the conversation of collaboration with someone and you all are trying to figure out the terms, and we get a lot of examples of situations where people dive into relationships and the terms are not ironed out and they're not clear. Anybody hear what I'm saying? And you get halfway in it and it breaks down and you're kind of having to do cleanup on the back end. Y'all hear what I'm saying, right? So one of the ways that we play from a place of advancement is that when we go into collaborations, we're asking the question, what does success look like for me? Meaning, what do I expect out of this interaction and engagement? What does it look like for me to really be able to operate in the highest possibility of what could be happening and manifested through this collaboration? And it also means that you're asking the other person, what does success look like for you? And you're entering into the relationship and into the agreement with a commitment that both of you will prosper through the interaction. And so the nature of the conversation and the quality of the conversation is where you all are really telling the truth to each other about what that looks like, right? Because at the center of what's in advancing is the willingness to be in authentic relationship with ourselves and with each other. Another example of what advancement looks like is where you're in a conversation and somebody's sharing about their big dream and what it is that they're up to, and it sounds really similar to yours. And the first inclination is to want to feel threatened. Anybody hear what I'm saying? Like, oh man, that's what I'm doing, blah, 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 you know, and automatically like what could have been a potential friend now becomes a potential competitor, right? The opportunity would be to lean into the conversation and really listen for, where could I support this person? Where are places where we might be stronger together? Are there things that we might do together to expand both of our respective markets? And could I be in a conversation of collaboration and exploration, excuse me, could I be in a conversation of collaboration and contribution that supports that? So these are specific ways that you can work with the theme this month. And it'll be interesting to see what shifts, what shows up differently. Does the conversation all of a sudden get bigger? Does it get more interesting? Does it get more exciting? Because you are both now engaged in a conversation that is rooted in a commitment to one another's success. Helpful, Dana? More examples, or is this helpful in terms of how you all can engage? So here's the beautiful thing. This month, we are gifting you Waddle's book via PDF. You're going to get to read the whole thing. It's like 52 pages, right? And you're going to have the opportunity to marinate on chapter 15 as I did those years ago when Move the Crowd was just a little itty-bitty idea moving around in my head, right? And look at us now. You know, I'm so proud of what we've had the ability to create through this amazing team. And when I say to you that advancement is in the DNA of everything that we do, it really is. Our internal mantra is all about empowering the dream. And so, you know, I'm gifting you Waddles. I'm asking you to read it this month. I'm asking you to pay particular attention to chapter 15 and the idea of advancing and advancement as a way of being and a way of operating and a way of leading and loving and living in the world. And I want to invite you all to tell us how it goes this month. What are you seeing when you're approaching conversations from a place of expansiveness, from a place of abundance as opposed to scarcity? And what are the ways in which you are creating more for yourself and for others? So your tip for the month of August is advance. Advance, advance, advance. Be an advancing man, an advancing woman, an advancing soul, an advancing entrepreneur, an advancing leader. And I can't wait to hear what opens up for you as a result. We love you. Have an awesome, awesome month. I know that you all were quiet, perhaps because this is such a new concept and there's time that you want to digest and work with it, and I trust that. But I promise you, if you begin to work with this concept, it will transform your reality in ways you could not have imagined. All right, beloveds, have an awesome, awesome August, and we will see you next month. Peace.